Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, uh, my lecture is about how to write and publish a scientific paper and features of scientific and reasons why we in publishing our papers. Let's start with some introduction about science aspects and rules in science, which starts with some key measures or criteria that we may need to get familiar with the journals and publishers, and it would be very beneficial to find the best place for publishing our papers. Let's start with a logo of with the logo of Elsevier, and which is reflecting the philosophy of science. We can see that there is a big tree here, which is called elm tree, or the tree of knowledge, and there is a scholar, an old man, which is trying to take care of the tree and grew the flower or the grapes by the support of the tree. We can see that there is a mutual understanding between the scholars and publishers, and when we are about to publish a scientific paper, we should consider the rules and instructions and know the soul of the science and get familiar with the instructions that the publisher wants. And this is the way that we should take for starting writing a scientific paper. And then let's take a look at the history of scientometrics or science information science, which is a very specific field opened in 1960 by Eugene Garfield. He started defining and classifying some rules and measures how to categorize journals in terms of their quality. And as we can see, the story of science and writing the first paper goes back to 1665 in France, and then later in English, Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society published the first paper in 1776. So from the time that Eugene Garfield started thinking about the classification of journals and publishers, he was about to define some useful index in order to give the readers possibility of classifying the journals and finding the best way to know which journals would be of higher quality regardless of the field of research. Let's say, for example, humanities, art, engineering, material science, and many other fields of science. And the index, some indices were first defined for categorizing journals in terms of their quality. And the journal metrics was defined as a measure of the impact, speed, and reachability, or the ability to access the journal, and authors could select the best journal when they were making decision about which journal would be the best candidate for publishing their work. After the time that Eugene Garfield started and funded the ISI, Institute for Scientific Information, the indices were defined continuously, and over 60 years of the time that he defined the first index, there is still in the way progression, and new indices will be appeared based on the necessities and the aims and the classifications that would appear in scientific area based on the progress in the knowledge and in the science. So some terms and definitions can be seen here, which were defined, which have been defined continuously one after another, and to give sense of the quality of publishers and also the journals, because there was a question to be answered: which journal would be the best fit to a given research paper. For example, we have a quantitative measure which is named impact factor, in order to quantify the level of the scientific level of a journal in terms of the number of citations and number of documents or publications in a given journal. We can see that the impact factor for a given year, let's say Y, can be calculated based on citations of the year Y-1 and year Y-2, and also the publications. We have a very simple calculation here for Nature journal in 2015, 2014, which is exactly 41.45, which can be calculated, which was calculated based on the number of publications and citations. So armed with such a quantitative measure, it could be possible, regardless of the field of science, I mean, it was possible to categorize journals in terms of impact factor. Later, some qualitative measures were introduced to scientific areas. For example, the Q or Quartile ranking, which makes possible to categorize journals in a given field. For example, in the field of polymer materials, we have 89 journals which publish the related works. And if we sort them from the top to the bottom, from the highest quality to the lowest quality in terms of impact factor, we can take a look at the distribution of impact factor and have 4 categories based on what we know, based on the substantial work of Professor Zadeh, which is fuzzy logics. We can see that the first quarter belongs to the 25th% of the highest IF distribution, which is called Q1, and the middle high position refers to the journals which are in the second category, which we say Q2, and then Q3 and Q4. It is simply understandable that for journals that started working in, let's say, for example, in 2020, it takes around 3 years to collect all the documents and measure the number of citations and papers, so as to be able to define the quality of the journal. So if we happen to see a journal, for example, which is in quality, its quality is Q4, it doesn't mean that it is essentially of low quality. Maybe it is in the earliest stage of opening, and we should wait until the next years to see how it is competitive in a specific field of science. And the SCImago journal ranking made decision to collect all the possible measures and quantities so as to give a given journal a fingerprint or a signature to be tracked easily by those working in different fields of science. And based on their work, nowadays we are able to assess the quality of the journals. The first example is Nature. Everybody knows that Nature is a very high-ranked journal, and we can see that it publishes works which are multidisciplinary from all areas. Let's say, for example, marketing, engineering, material science, medicine. And the impact factor is 41. The H index of journal is another index which can be used here, an SJR factor. And we can see that over 20 years, the journal is in the first position and takes the tag of Q1. And also we can see that the SJR factor follows a relatively ascending trend from 1999 to 2017. So based on such information, we can know that, for example, Nature publishes from any sort of scientific area, and also the number of citations and the external and internal citations can be understood which affects our decision making in choosing the best journal to submit through. On the other hand, we can see that another journal here is Journal of Applied Polymer Science, for example. We can see that the H index, IF, and SJR factors are not comparable with those of Nature. And obviously, we can see that the SJR factor follows a very obvious descending trend and takes the value of 0.5 starting from 20 years ago, which was at a level of 1. And also the quartile has been changed from 2005 from green, which is a signature of Q1, to yellow, which is the signature of Q2. And also 4 rows can be found over 20 years, which means that this journal publishes works in 4 different fields. So if you work, for example, in the field of surfaces or coatings and films, you can publish your work in Journal of Applied Polymer Science. But from the identification card, let's say, of Journal of Applied Polymer Science, we should consider this in mind, that the journal follows an ascending trend in the number of citations, but the quality of journal is getting lower and lower by years. So it means that there is a very serious competition between journals to take the first position among a specified field or among all possible journals in which we can publish our papers. So armed with the knowledge of scientometrics, we would be able to find the best candidate for our paper and find the best solution for our problem regarding the journal to which we are trying to publish. Now we can switch to the main reasons why researchers mainly fail to publish their manuscripts. After years of working in the field and collecting experiences, I came to some conclusions. Let's start with some statistics. For example, we can see that the rate of success in journals follows a very disappointing trend. You can see that starting from 2013 for biomaterials, which is a very high-ranked journal in the field, we can see that the number of papers that they published decreased in 2013 from 1,000 approximately to 530 just in 2017, after 4 years. It means that the journals are trying to publish less and less and increase the quality of their works. Another example provided here goes to electrochemical acta. You can see that the number of papers they publish has remained almost unchanged over 4 or 5 years, but we can see that the number of papers they receive sharply increased from the year 2013 to 2017. It means that the possibility of success or the rate of success is lower nowadays compared to just a couple of years ago. So there is a competition, and we should consider this in our estimations in finding the best journal and getting familiar with the rules and instructions that journals provide for the authors and for the researchers. This is a very technical problem to be cured. As another example, we can see that, for example, Journal of Applied Psychology has a very high rate of rejection. The fourth column, I mean, 90% of papers will be rejected. And considering that they received approximately 1,100 papers, we can see that how low is the probability of success nowadays. So what we should do, we should get armed with strategy and know all aspects of research and know detailed information regarding the journals and publishers and the field in which we are working and blah blah. And I have a special classification which shows you all possible kinds of events taking place when we prepare a manuscript and we try to have it published. There are some works which are bad quality research works. There is no novelty in the work. The aim of this work is not so interesting. There is no necessity. There is no novelty, and they are badly presented as well. It means that the introduction looks a mess. For example, there are several sorts of tables and figures without any connection between them. So this is the characteristic of bad quality research, badly presented. On the other hand, some guys have works which are not of acceptable quality, but they use different sorts of tricks to present their work properly. And sometimes maybe young editors or reviewers they pay attention to the maybe to the style of presentation. However, the experienced editors and reviewers are focused on the soul of the paper instead of the appearance of the paper. So it is essential to know all aspects of the research properly if you are a researcher. On the other hand, we have good quality research badly presented, and this is the consequence of poor information regarding how to write scientific papers, the subject of our lecture, and also there are some missing rings in research for those who are in the earliest stage of research, and they don't know how to present their work and how to properly make use of tools to present their work. Some works are also good, but are not substantial enough. It means that there is no necessity for them to be considered, or there is no problem, there is no essential problem to be resolved. So such works take the tag of good research, but not substantial enough. And also some research works are good, but are out of the scope of the journal. So we should focus on the instruction of journals and the category of research we've performed, and some other technical points which will be presented to you in a few minutes. So the worst case among such cases for a scientist, for a researcher, would be good quality research badly presented. So this is the place where we should focus to tackle the problems we have in writing the paper and knowing the style of papers, the kinds of papers which will be spoken in a few minutes. So let's know how to avoid common mistakes in research. Actually, we have two sorts of mistakes in research, which I show you here. The first one is the technical or conceptual mistakes. We don't know how to prepare the structure of paper and how to organize the data and to discuss about them, how to to present the methodology. Yeah, and on the other hand, we have some mistakes in writing, and there is no mutual understanding between the scholar and the publisher or editor, because of the fact that the words which are used or the style of writing is not proper. Okay. For technical mistakes, let me show you some cases and give you some angles about that. Forgetting about the reader. Sometimes we forget about the reader, and please be noticed that we do research because of the fact that we are going to communicate with others and find new ways to communicate with people who are working in the same field. If we consider the readers in mind, we will prepare a very good manuscript which will be accepted by a wide spectrum of readers. On the other hand, if the paper is written for ourselves and we, for example, let's say I am interested in results, and I would like to collect a lot of results, a lot of tests, and I may write a paper based on the results, and a few attention would be paid regarding the methodology, and this is the place where I say that we may forget about the reader, and also not perfectly write the abstract. We know that the abstract is called a mini paper, a mini article, and it should reflect the whole paper in few words. So it is sometimes not more than 150 words. So it is very essential to write a very useful and complete abstract in order to lure the attention of readers and editors and reviewers. This is the case that I will show you at the end of my presentation as an example. And also, we didn't check the background of the subject in the literature, and we write the paper without checking the previous history of the work, and this is the place that we will be accused by the editors or the reviewers as those doing works which are not novel enough for the journal. So if we take a precise look at the literature and the background of the topic we are working on, it would be possible to provide a very good space for those who are interested in the field of research we are doing. And also, some more technical mistakes come from the insufficient information regarding the methodology, regarding hypotheses we use and assumptions we use in our paper. And this is the case that the reviewer or the reader cannot properly follow the subject and may be confused by our writing. Also, the structure of manuscript would be confusing. We will see that we have different sorts of manuscripts. Each has its own structure, and each should be managed and should be organized in a very particular way. And if we don't know the structure of paper, we may make it confusing for those reading our manuscript. Also, we should know that methodology of the research is definitions or the experts in the field to reach to have our research repeatable. The manuscript in a manner that nobody can follow it, and you may know that sometimes it is. This is why I mentioned that this is. From which slide?
From which slide?
We should talk. What happened?
Can we continue?
Hello?
Hello. From which slide I should repeat my
From technical mistakes.
from the beginning of technical mistake?
Yes, yes.
I will do.
Okay.
Now, let's start.
Yes.
Okay. So we have two sorts of mistakes in research. The first one is technical mistakes. When I'm talking about technical mistakes, I'm talking about very special items or very special facts which are not usually understandable by the researchers because of the fact that they are not experienced enough to know how they would act without knowing about the possibility of mistake technically. And we sometimes we forget about the reader. We just do our research to communicate with others. We don't do research because of our own desires. Okay, this is important, yes, but we should do research in a manner to communicate with others who are working in the same field. So we forget about the reader, and for example, if I'm interested in results mainly, I will go for publishing papers in which you can find every sort of data without clarifying the methodology I used. So this is a big mistake, technical mistake. Or for example, we forget about the readers when we write abstract. We know that abstract is sometimes called mini article or mini paper. It means that it should reflect the whole manuscript in a very short space provided by the publisher. So how we can have the main manuscript reflected in the abstract without knowing which elements should be used in abstract, in which order we should use them, and how long would be each element of the abstract. I will try to show you some examples at the later stage of my presentation. And also when we don't consider the history behind our research and the literature. When the literature is not overviewed properly, we may miss some works which are in close relationship with the work we are doing, and sometimes editors and reviewers catch the researchers, and we will be accused by the editors and reviewers of not mentioning the previous work, and the state of novelty of our work would be low because of the fact that we missed some works in the field. Some more examples are not mentioning the hypothesis we used in our work, or sometimes the methodology we use is vaguely presented. Yeah, we should consider this fact that the work we do should be repeatable by others. And for those who are expert in the field, it would be easy to repeat our work, and how they can do it when our methodology is not properly presented. And we will see that we have different sorts of manuscripts, and depending on the type of manuscript, we should use a specific structure for writing our manuscript. Sometimes we confuse, for example, review papers and the necessity we should highlight in review papers. With that, we should highlight in, let's say, original papers, and also other kinds of papers. We will give you some angles about this fact in our presentation later. The methodology should be detailed, to be repeated, as I mentioned before, and also wrong statistics. We sometimes do not know how to treat our data, and this is the case that happens when we use, for example, experimental design softwares, and we don't know how to express the errors and how to give the reader the possibility of getting informed about the reliability and validity of our tests. So wrong statistics based on poor knowledge about the usage of such softwares would be a serious problem. And also discussion, which is very important in research, sometimes is the missing link in our presentation in our manuscript. So if we mix up the results and discussions together, sometimes we make the reader confused, and he or she cannot follow the text and cannot understand which mechanism would explain chemical reactions, for example, which philosophy would be behind solving this mathematical model, or which, let's say, for example, rules would be sufficient to explain a given phenomenon in physics or in, let's say, psychology, for example. So the technical mistakes would continue with improper explanation of the conclusions. In conclusions, we should highlight discussions besides results, and sometimes we forget about the discussions. So let's be careful about writing different parts of our manuscript by getting prepared for a systematic writing style. The citations or references would be incomplete, and this is the case that usually reviewers point out in their evaluation. And also a proper journal should be selected because of the fact that if we read precisely the instructions the journal provides for the authors, we would see that if the research we performed lies in the field of that journal and can be accepted by the editorial board, that would be a good candidate. Otherwise, we should go and find another journal. So after highlighting the technical mistakes in brief, we will go to the mistakes in writing. We know that mastering English grammar is a prerequisite for writing scientific papers, and sometimes because of the fact that our paper or manuscript is vaguely written, it is not possible to have the attention of readers and editors. If they don't understand what you mean in your manuscript, sometimes they would act sometimes maliciously because of the fact that they don't understand your work. And using proper words and verbs and sentences, and sometimes the style of writing in the abstract. For example, if we are talking about our work, better to say it was done. If we are talking about others' work in the abstract, better to say has done or is done. There are some rules which are essential, and from the scientific point of view, there is a special tongue which is not essentially the same as the tongue that we know and we find in, let's say, for example, some qualification exams like IELTS or TOEFL. The tongue of science is completely different. So it is essential to know which kind of writing we should use in writing our manuscript. And bad choice of words. We have different sorts of verbs to, let's say, for example, explain or talk about a figure. We can use show, describe, demonstrate, illustrate, reveal. There are a lot of words, but each has its own meaning. So they should be used properly in the proper place so as to lure the attention of reader. Also, we should go and find some texts that belong to native speakers so as to get familiar with the structures which are normal in English. So depending on the field we work in, better to go for big names or big scientists and find their works and read them carefully to find how they discuss about their results and how they use words and sentences and how they use special structures in their writing to grab the attention of readers. Let's have an example here. We have 3 words here. We can see influence, effect, and impact, and they are completely different. But we can see that in most of manuscripts, they are used interchangeably. And however, this is not true. This is not the case. We can see that, for example, the influence is something which causes people to think or behave in a different way. However, an effect is what happens to someone or something. So they are completely different, and this should be cared in writing scientific papers. So overall, mistakes in writing and technical mistakes should be avoided if we know which kinds of mistakes exist in manuscripts, depending on our experiences. So we are getting prepared to start. So we may need a general framework to get started. There are some prerequisites for the research, which I mention here in brief. They are interconnected and they are pieces of a big puzzle to be solved. Terms and definitions, everybody knows that each field of research has its own tongue, and there are special terms and there are special rules, fundamental rules and definitions that should be cared. Then having a strategy to start with would be the second necessity for research. And there is a stepwise manner for those working in the field of research to start from the strategy and to end in practice. The common mistakes in research comes as the third. As we mentioned, we should avoid mistakes which are common in research. Then we should know which type of article or paper would be the best candidate for our work. We have several sorts of articles that will be shown to you, which we need to know how to how to get prepared for writing a paper based on the type of article we choose for having the highest level of attention from the other side, from the side of editors and reviewers and readers. So there is a very systematic way in our courses to show you which structure would be the best for a scientific article. We defined different structures for different sorts of articles. Let's say, for example, communications, review papers, perspectives, and you may need to know all of them when you go for writing a manuscript. And also planning to construct a framework to start with. We should state the problem first, know the question of the research, and know the method we should take to tackle the problem which we are trying to resolve. So the framework should be known before we take the first step. So publishing a paper is a very important task that is similar to marketing. We need a good quality product to sell, which is here our research. And also someone who wants to buy, which would be a journal editor or reviewer or potential reader. To do this, we should advertise properly as a salesperson to have the eyes of those who would pay for our research in the market, and we should know how we can lure the attention of others and present the best goods we have at hand. So let's bear in mind that for marketing nowadays there is a big competition between different companies, and depending on the situation of the world, which we know that nowadays we are in a very special period of life, and marketing is very, very dependent to the virus spread all around the world. So for research, there is a similar story. For example, many journals are trying to have their websites open and may charge you as a publication fee. So there is a very competitive market, and you should know how to advertise for your product. Starting from strategy, the first step is an invitation to rigorous thinking. We should consider all features and aspects of our research and consider the reader, the publisher, the journal, the editors, and which kind of journals, which kind of manuscripts the editors would like. We should go and find which field the editors are working in. There are a lot of things to be checked before we take the first step. And defining the goals and discovering possible ways. If we define the goal, we may have 2, 3, 4, 5 ways to approach the goals. For example, we can find the goals via a purely theoretical way or experimental way, or a mix or combination of both of them. So we should define the goals and then find the best way to approach it. And recognizing our expectations and challenges. Sometimes we may be ambitious and sometimes we may be somehow unambitious, and there should be a balance between our expectations and the challenges that would be associated with our expectations. So when talking about our results and presenting our data, we should take care of our words. So it might be detrimental, sometimes it might be useful depending on what we are saying about our work. And we should control over the expectations of others and also consider the challenges that would be associated with our paper in advance. Please go boldly to paint your ideas, but not that ambitiously. The state of exaggeration is a key failure parameter in scientific papers. Sometimes we overuse words like significantly, sharply, increasingly, or let's say, for example, substantially, and exaggeration may work in an adverse way and would be detrimental. So control your level of ambiguity, and also making good use of tools. Sometimes we use tables, for example, because of the fact that we are trying to give a precise view of our data to the reader. On the other hand, sometimes they should focus on the trend among our data. Better to go for using, for example, a diagram, bar diagram, or let's say, for example, continuous plot. So depending on the status of our work and our data, we should go for using the best tool, and also making decision very wisely. Stay away from being excited. In science, if you're excited, it doesn't work, because of the fact that editors and reviewers are wise people, and they know let's say the exact worth of your work, and they would suffer from some exaggerations. And if you make decision in a very wise manner, you would have the attention of them. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So let me show you some kinds of scientific papers you are able to write. Many people think that research articles are the most common common kind of manuscript or paper. They are right, but they don't know that there are a lot of sorts of research articles, as you can see here, and each is confident and is suitable for a given purpose. And depending on the purpose, we can use different sorts of research articles and also review articles. Please consider that when we are about to submit a work, we go to the portal of journal, our portal, and open the page for submission. We will happen to see the first question, which is which kind of paper or manuscript you are trying to submit. This is mainly the first question, and people may choose a review article and publish their work, and more than 95% it fails, because of the fact that for review papers you may need to write a proposal and give the detailed reason why this work is of a state-of-the-art level, and why this work is essential. You should discuss with the editors and communicate with them so as to have them satisfied with your topic and your review paper. Then they will invite you, and later you will be able to submit your manuscript. Even though there is a possibility for submitting without discussion with the editors, it fails if you don't follow the protocol. So each paper has its own let's say, method and its own specification. And there are a lot of more papers. You can see special reports, letters, perspectives, video papers. And I will show you some of these examples in brief, so as to give you some angle about the context and the philosophy of each kind of manuscript. This is the regular article which we are familiar with. We can see that Elsevier, for example, provides a special space for highlights and graphical abstract so as to lure the attention of reader. And we can see that these guys used highlights as 3 bullet type sentences. However, they could use 5. So there is a definition here for the research article, which reports the results of original research, assesses its contribution to the body of knowledge in a given area, and is published in a peer-reviewed scholarly journal. Also, we have review papers, and which has its own definition and provides a critical and constructive analysis of existing published literature in the field. So it is very important to find the gaps or problems to be cared and open the future horizon to the readers, which aspects would be of importance for the future research. So this is another kind of paper, and we can see that there is another kind which is called perspective. Perspectives are scholarly reviews of fundamental concepts of prevalent ideas in the field. So these are like an essay and reflect a personal point of view about a widespread notion. We can see that each sort of manuscript would be suitable for a given purpose. Also, we have editorial, we have opinion article with its own structure, we have letter or short communication. For example, we have our own instruction for writing short communication in my group, and students follow the rule and construct the short communication in a very specified manner. So we analyze different short communications from big names and high-ranked journals, and came to the conclusion that which context would be the best context of short communication. So you should analyze and sometimes go for deep understanding of the let's say philosophy or mission of a short communication, so as to be able to construct a short communication. Also, we have video article, we have data article, we have case study, which has its own definition and mission. We have commentary article. For example, you find a problem in a given, let's say, original paper. They used a mechanistic illustration in their papers, authors, I mean, and you know that this is not the only way they could use in explanation of the mechanism of the reaction, and you can argue against such idea and write a commentary article. It is almost one-page paper, because you can use 1,000 or 1,500 words to draw the attention of editor and explain why it might be problematic, and you can explain in detail why the proposed mechanism, for example, is not versatile. Special report is another kind of paper, letters to the editors, and we can see that we have a lot of choices, but we should know the structure of each kind of paper, so as to be able to design and orchestrate the best scenario and story for our research work. So what we suggest you, this is a very technical, work, and you may need someone to supervise what you do, we suggest you to participate in some courses provided in our group. We have elementary courses and then intermediate courses and also advanced courses in which we discuss in detail about different aspects of research, both research methodology and also the structure of manuscripts, and also how to orchestrate the introduction, abstract, the methodology, how to answer the questions from editorial board and reviewers, and some more in detail. Just to give you an angle about what we do in our courses, I will show you 2 examples of our elementary course in which we analyze and classically, let's say systematically analyze the abstract of research works, which we called it a mini article, so as to reflect the whole manuscript in a very appropriate manner. We define different elements for abstract. For example, in the first example, we can see that the journal is high impact. The IF is around 15 ACS nano, and take a look at the number of citations, 2,200, and the year, which is approximately 11 years. So we can see how successful was this article. When we go deeply to consider the context of the abstract, we can see that we define 6 elements from E1 to E6, and the time that the authors of this work started writing a paper about the green approach to synthesis of graphene nanosheets, this was the first or the second paper in the field that claimed about the usage of using a green approach. And when we analyze this abstract, we can see that the authors started from a general sentences about the background of the work, and to give the general readers a dimension about what they are trying to discuss and they are trying to give. And then the second element goes to the aim of the work, which has been clearly highlighted here as the second element, and also the methodology. They mentioned which methodology they used, even the voltage they used, and also the synthesis method. And then they go to the results, which is colored in green. You can see that all elements exist in this work, and even the last element, which is E6, which gives you some angle about the future ahead of this research. So what about the E3, the third element, which is the necessity of the work? We can see that that time doing this research was of high necessity, and we can see that the title of this work reflects the necessity of that work. That's why it has been cited more than 2,000 times over 1 decade. On the other hand, let me show you another example which goes back to 10 years ago and has been published in a high-ranked journal in the field of polymer materials. The name of journal is Polymer, and we can see that it has been cited just for 15 times over 10 years. Why? The reason is hidden in the abstract. Let me uncover some aspects of this this abstract by analyzing the abstract based on our systematic elements. we can see that there is nothing as a first element as a background of research. Then they go directly to the aim of the research, and it is of note that they declared that the aim of this research was preparation of a material. Were prepared. In the second line, we can see were prepared. And then we go for writing about the method they used. You can see that they used a fissile synthesis based on silicon nanoparticles in the title. So I would expect to see more about the methodology they used, but we can see that just they mentioned 2 tests and give no special information about the methodology they used. And they mainly focus on the results. So they used only 3 elements, and they didn't talk about the necessity of this work and the gaps this work would fill in. So there is no question, there is no research question here to be answered, and nobody can understand which problem would be resolved by using or based on this article. So we can see that analyzing the abstract of the paper, which is a topic of our elementary work, which would give some insights into the merit of the work, the worth of the work, in a very systematic manner. So we had some conferences and meetings and workshops in Iran, for example, in the University of Urmia, among several centers that I taught how to write papers course, and we had opportunity to have many students there, and also in Gdańsk University of Technology, I had some courses for PhD students, and I tried to mix the methodology of research with my special course about blending polymers, and give them some angles about how to make their work particular and exceptional. And also in 2015, when I was in Gdańsk University for the first time, I had some course, and we are open to discuss more about other aspects of our workshops. First of all, let's keep positive about the future, and when we conquer the virus in the near future, hopefully, and then we will approach the nice days we had before, and these are our connection ways you can take to find some more useful information about the courses and the methodology we use in our workshops, and also consulting classes. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that the presentation I had opened some doors to young researchers working in the field, so as to make their works a better candidate for journals, and also in order to get familiar with different sorts of ways that they should learn to tackle problems in the way they may have for publication of their works. Thank you very much, and wish you the best.